Happy Monday, everybody. We are going live with our summer inventory challenge video of the week. If you are catching us live or if you're catching the replay, say hello and let me know where you're from. I know a lot of people are only catching. Today, for week 5, we are on the downslope. It's 8 weeks long. This is week 5. We are going to be talking about baking vegetables. So we're going to be inventorying that this week. Now, last week we talked about meats and grains and legumes. And if you did not go on and update kind of your progress or questions about that, you still have time. I haven't chosen the winner for last week, which was a pantry can of some of the freeze-dried beef. So if you have not given us an update in the group about your progress for the week, let us know. Even if it's just saying I inventoried and I had X amount and I need X amount, just whatever. I want to hear how you're doing. I still have some inventory myself to do because I was actually working on taxes all week. So, you know, that lovely thing. So anyways, finish up last week. I'm going to work on the email for tomorrow, for this week, for fruits, vegetables, and baking items. So let's chat about those for a little bit tonight. We are going to be quick today. Fruits and vegetables are pretty easy, in my opinion. But they can also be flexible. Now, in most like life-sustaining calculators, they don't even include fruits and vegetables. The only way you really can get vegetables is if you sprout some of the grains and legumes, and then that's how you can get some fresh greens, which I still think that's a great option. So I do keep a sprouting kit on hand, and I have experimented with sprouting wheat and sprouting some other things. So it's a good skill to learn, and it gives you those fresh greens. I know my children won't eat sprouts, at least most of them, or wheatgrass, so unless you sneak it and stuff. So I do like to have fruits and vegetables in my storage. Now, how much to store is a very good question. So when we redid our calculator, we kind of went from the basics and then into a more like user-friendly version, which we talked about in week 3 when we were talking about planning your inventory and recipes. So the way that we did it for that was I calculated 3 servings a day of fruits and 3 servings a day of vegetables. Now that is a half cup serving. If you think about how much a half cup is, it's really actually kind of small. So I wanted to show you a few different ways of fruits and vegetables. So you can do canned. These have a pretty short shelf life, 1 or 2 years usually. Let's see. This is 2023. So that's a little bit shorter shelf life, but some people like these better. You can home can. So home canned, the opinion varies on how long they'll last. Officially, you'll probably read 1 to 2 years. Now, I found some home canned stuff in my grandma's food storage after she passed that was like 20 years old. Some of that was a little bit disgusting, but I found some that was 5 years old that we opened and tasted, and it was fine. So it's kind of hit or miss. These ones were 2019, and they still look awesome. I've still been eating these, and they're great. So I would tend to go with like 3 to 5 years for home cans, but that's probably pushing it a little bit. So you do want to try to rotate. And then you can also do freeze-dried. You can, if you have a harvest tray, you can freeze-dry your own, or you can buy them. Thrive is my favorite. They don't source anything from China. Everything that they can is US-based or wherever it's able to, I mean, they don't grow pineapple. Actually pick the food when it's the peak ripeness and then flash freeze it for 4 hours or whatever, or within 4 hours of picking, and then ship it frozen to Thrive. Then they freeze dry it there. And so you get really like the freshest food. I know if you do like grocery store, bananas or whatever, they've been on a truck forever and they're ripening on the truck and it doesn't taste as fresh. So freeze dry is a really good option. Dehydrating yourself is a really good option for some foods. I know like there's nothing like the yummy dehydrated bananas with like a little bit of honey on them. Those are a very different experience than freeze-dried bananas. So a lot of it's your personal preference. So the way I kind of calculated fruits and vegetables with the 3 servings a day is it's 24 cans. This size of cans will give you 3 servings a day for one person. So that's a lot of cans of fruits and vegetables if you want to have a full year supply, especially if you have a big family. We have 9 people, so it might not happen. And also, the other problem is, like, this can says it's 2 servings, but pretty much even my 9-year-old will open this and eat the whole thing. So if I was planning on this to be 2 servings, that's not actually going to last my family as 2 servings. And same thing with the cans. This is supposed to be 20 servings, but I have one daughter who, if it's strawberries, she can eat a whole one of these in a day. I would not recommend that. So we have to hide them from you. You kind of have to figure out the way your family likes eating it. If you want to do a mix, I kind of do a mix of home canned, of freeze dried. I have some in the freezer, but it's so bulky, it's really hard to freeze a lot of it. So your task is to inventory what you have and where, and then figure out how much you actually want to have. So do you want to have 3 servings a day? Do you want to go less? Do you want to go more? And do you want to have a full year supply? So those are kind of the considerations with fruits and vegetables. They are pretty similar in how we calculate the numbers. But the only other thing is with vegetables, I use a lot of vegetables in cooking that I wouldn't necessarily use as like a side dish or a snack. And so I'll store extras of onions and peppers and celery and things like that that are really good in just general recipes. And I don't count those as part of my like servings a day of vegetables. And I also have a lot of children who don't really eat a lot of vegetables. So we'll be like powdering them. How much your family will eat, what they will eat, that you just really have to sit down and figure it out for yourself. So I can give you all the tips for all of that. Canning is super fun and super easy and yummy. My kids love my home canned peaches. They love my home canned applesauce. So sometimes I just do that just because they're yummy, but then we also have it in the basement. So I count it towards my storage, but then we're always rotating through it. So it's like if you can 24 cans, you know, you don't really have that much because then halfway through the year you only have 12 left, if that makes sense. So you kind of got to get in your rotation and then know that at some point it's depleted. If that makes sense. So that's fruits and vegetables. Also, I mentioned this a little bit in the group, but there is a big sale going on Thrive if you do the delivery service. Normally it's 15% off through the delivery. For the month of August, it's an extra 15% off. So, and then if it's a special item, it's even on top of that. So it's pretty much everything is 30% off retail. And then the monthly special items go up to even 50% off retail prices. So it's an awesome deal. So if you are looking to stock up on some of these fruits and vegetables and even the meats that we talked about last week, this is probably your best bet for doing it. They do Black Friday, you can do it as a one-time order or as a delivery, but this month you have to do it in the delivery service, which is a monthly auto ship, but you can stop at any time. So if you just want to do your order this month and then cancel, that's totally fine. So I can send you info if you want that. You can just raise your hand in the comments and I'll send you some good stuff. So let's talk about the last thing, which is baking items. I saved this for last because it kind of covers like everything else in your food storage almost. So we talked about in week 3 what you can make. Like if you just have beans and rice and wheat, what are you even going to cook in your food storage? And so we kind of talked about planning recipes around that, or else just having like extra ingredients for that. So the items I include, it's baby step 7 if you follow along the Food Storage Made Easy baby steps, but it's your fats and oils, your sugars and sweeteners, powdered milk, and then other dairy. So you could do eggs, sour cream, butter powders, cheese possibly, which that's a good point. For the meal in a jar, if you're in my meal in a jar group, the recipe I'm going to do, I know I promised to do it early this month, but I don't have it quite ready yet, but I did make it. We're going to do pizzas in a jar. It's super fun, and I have a gluten-free version and a regular version. I've been asked for gluten-free a lot, and I'm gluten-free, so I made my own pizza in a jar. So that is one reason it's good to have cheese on hand, because you can have pizza in an emergency. It's awesome. So if you're not in my Meals in a Jar group, let me know. I can give you the link to sign up for that as well. And then once that recipe goes out, you'll get it automatically through email. So then we have other dairy, and then we have baking items like that you need for cooking, like baking powder, baking soda, yeast, things like that. I think I got all of them. So that's sort of the whole over-encompassing baking essentials category. And so again, it's sort of hard to give an exact number of how much to store. In our calculator, the one from week 3, which I'll link to this in the email that's going out tomorrow, so you don't have to like try to find everything. There are some set amounts, but again, I would recommend that you find the recipes that you want to make and then make sure you have enough of that. So I'm going to challenge everyone, because most people are going to try to do bread, if they're storing wheat, as like a staple of food in an emergency. So figure out how many batches of bread you would need to make for a year for your family. So my bread recipe, the full recipe, makes 6 small loaves, which with 9 people, we would probably eat that within 3 days. Maybe less. Depends how many meals we're eating it for. So if I needed to make my bread recipe every 3 days, I'm going to have to make like 120 recipes of that full recipe. So I need to multiply whatever is in that. So you've got your sugar, your oil, salt, yeast, vital wheat gluten. You need to calculate, and then how much wheat, obviously, but you're going to have so much wheat in your food storage. So, and I can share my whole wheat bread recipe for you guys if you want a really good one. It does have more ingredients than some of the basic bread recipes. Like you can make bread even without yeast. I did this. I can post these too. I'll share all these links in the email. But you can do like no kneading, no electricity. You can bake it in like a cardboard box oven outside with just like flour, water, and salt. Like you can make super easy bread recipes. If you want like a yeast bread that's going to be your kind of staple meals in an emergency, that recipe is really good for that. So I want everybody to take their bread recipe and calculate out how much you would make in a year if you're doing it. So mine is every 3 days. So I have to times it by 120, times that by all the salt, yeast, sugar, whatever that's in your recipe, and then store enough of that. And now most of those ingredients, your shelf life's going to be okay. Oil is typically the thing that's going to cause you and I stock up on oil, and I know that I'm probably going to have to throw it away every now and then, and I'm just okay with that. So if you don't want to do that and you want to not use that, or if you want to not store as much of it and just plan to maybe use, like I said, some of the more simple bread recipes, you can also do that. But that is my caution with oil. It is one of the things that I don't trust. Vegetable oil will last longer than like olive oil or whatever, but that's my big caution with that. The sugars, so the sugar category, I store, it's like whatever. So if you don't do like refined sugars, you can store more honey. Honey is pretty good at lasting forever too. It just might get crystallized. Hi Tracy, hi Karen. So if you do like the alternative sweeteners, if you like a Splenda or a stevia, you can store those. But again, you're just gonna have to do the calculator, substitute whatever sweeteners that you want. Now yeast will store pretty well. I store a lot of it in the freezer. because then it'll last longer. Your baking ingredients like the baking powder, baking soda, those will probably expire, but they tend to still be okay. So you kind of have to experiment. If the shelf life is going out, make sure that they still have leavening properties. You might have to make something and see if it still works. So I think that is all. Oh, and then definitely I'll probably do some little fruits and veggies, maybe some snack bags of that for you to try. And then I have been working on, so people ask a lot where you can get some of these bulk baking ingredients. Thrive used to sell them. They don't sell a lot of them anymore. So Winco is really a good place if you have a Winco near you. Also, sometimes the stores like Honeyville Emergency Essentials will have some, and then sometimes you need to go to more of like a baking supply, restaurant supply type of store to look for things like that in bulk, or specialty sellers. So there is a really cool company called Redmond Real Salt they have, and they have some awesome different versions of salts. So I'm going to do a giveaway for that. I'm going to share some more information about them, but they're awesome because a lot of times for canning and preserving and making jerky and stuff, you need salt, and you need, a lot of times you think you'll have to buy canning salt, but really what you need is salt that's free from the iodine and any non-caking agents. And so real salt is just pure salt. It's from a mine in Utah, so it's locally sourced. And they do have it in bulk. They have all different kinds, kosher and powdery salt. So if you like popcorn salt, whatever, you can use it for that. So I will share some more details about that, and that is going to be one of the giveaways. They offer to give some samples to our readers, so that's awesome. And salt is really like a super important part of your food storage that a lot of times people kind of don't really think about. So that is all. If you have any questions, shoot me a message in the comments, or you can email me. Like I said, this email with all the links and details and everything for next week will go out sometime tomorrow. Make sure that you're signed up for the meal in a jar one if you want that pizza in a jar recipe. It's super fun. It's kind of weird in all different parts, but it all fits in a jar and it's cute and it makes a yummy pizza. So I'll tease some pictures about that. I think that's all the info. Oh, and finish up your week 4. So go and calculate your grains, calculate your legumes, and figure out if you want meat to be part of your food storage and what kind of meats you're going to do, and calculate how much you have. Remember, you don't have to have it all. You just have to know what you have and what you still need. So share in the group, let us know your update, and we will catch you next Monday night for our live. My mom is actually coming to visit, so maybe I'll have her join me and we can do it together. And I think that's all. Happy Monday. We'll see you next week.